Mimicking the effect of an ND filter or a big stopper is a really easy technique in Photoshop. You're just going to need about 10 individual exposures that were taken of, moving clouds or water, and then these can all be blended together to achieve that blurred effect. So if you've got something like water, you can take those shots in really quick succession because the movement is so fast. But if you've got something that's a bit slower, so maybe clouds moving through the sky, you may need to take those at intervals of 30 seconds or even 60 seconds. And it doesn't really matter how long the exposure is. So this is a 30-second exposure here. So this is the before. And then once 10 exposures were blended together using this technique, then we just get that really nice silky smooth cloud effect in the sky. It's really simple to do, so let's take a look at how it's done. Before we get started, my new book, The Digital Darkroom, The Definitive Guide to Photo Editing, is now available. The link to order is in the description. So the first thing you need to do is identify your 10 exposures in Lightroom, get them rated up, and then just get to work processing that first image. And we just need to sync the settings so that everything is identical. So once you've adjusted all of the relevant sliders, hold down the Shift key and then click on the final exposure and then hit the sync button, click on check all and then synchronize. And that will apply all of the same settings to each shot. And then while these images are all selected, we can just use the arrow keys and we can just scroll through and check the exposure. We don't want to get any huge leaps between one shot or another. So there you'll see it became a bit darker. So we'll go back and I'm just going to take this shot's exposure down to 45. And I think this one is a bit lighter as well. So let's take that down to 45 as well. So yeah, just make sure that the exposures are roughly the same. And then once you're happy with everything, with all of these shots still selected, right mouse click on any of them and then go to Edit In and select Open as Layers in Photoshop. And then it's just going to take a few moments for all of those images to open up as layers, and they'll appear on the layer stack on the right hand side. So here we have all of our shots opened up as layers, and what I would normally do at this point is just save a TIFF on my desktop, and then as the process goes on, just keep saving as you would normally. Obviously using a TIFF because it allows us to save layers. So the top layer itself is selected, so we just need to hold down Shift and click on that bottom layer, and we just need to align all those layers just in case there was even a tiny amount of movement between each shot. So if we just go to Edit and then Auto Align Layers, just leave the projection as auto, it always does a great job, and then hit OK, and then it just takes a few moments for that to actually process. Okay, so there we have our alignment complete. So if you can just see that line at the edge, so there has been some movement, so we just need to crop that out. I've got the ratio set to original ratio, and then I'm just going to drag it all the way over the image, and then holding down the Alt key, that's going to center the crop. So I'm just taking off all of those edges. What I would normally do is zoom into the edges just to make sure I'm getting it absolutely perfect, and I would recommend that, but I just want to do this quickly now, so it's not going to cause any major issues right now. So there we have the edges taken off, and the next thing we need to do is right mouse click on these layers on the layers panel and then select Convert to Smart Object. All of those layers have now been converted into that single smart object, so now we need to go to Layer, Smart Objects, Stack Mode, and then change the stack mode to Median, and this is what is going to create that kind of a long exposure effect where it blends all of those 10 exposures together. So there you'll see we've got that lovely blurring effect in the sky. So at this stage, as long as you're happy with everything, just go up to the menu at the top right of the layers panel, which is 4 horizontal lines, or right mouse click on the layer itself and select flatten image. So once that's done, you can then apply absolutely any processing that you need to. I'm going to create an empty layer, and I don't like this area of bright sky here, so I am just going to clone over that just to tidy it up, and at this stage I can apply any other effect. So if you have any sections like that, it's definitely worth taking time just to get them looking perfect. So that is how to mimic an ND filter effect or a big stopper effect in Photoshop.